All right, AAA students, welcome back. Today we are going to be covering lesson 8.3. And to begin this lesson, we're going to start by solving this ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. We're going to solve it by completing the square. Okay, so we're solving for x. So hang in tight. It's going to take up a lot of space on your paper, so make sure you leave some room, although maybe you have a blank sheet, so it's not a problem. Okay, so hang on, and here we go. So by completing the square, we remember that our first step, we're going to move that constant term over. So I'm going to have ax squared plus bx equals negative c. Now if you guys remember, when we complete the square, we want to divide by that lead coefficient here, which in this case is a. So we're going to divide everything by a. In my next line, I'm going to have x squared plus bx over a equals negative c over a. Okay? So if you guys remember what we need to do, what we need to add to both sides, we're going to take this middle term without the x, without the x we have b over a, and we're going to divide that by 2 and square it. Okay, so this is the same as, we can bring this 2 in the denominator up here, b over 2a squared, which now we can square each of these terms inside the parentheses. So we have b squared over 4a squared. And this here is what we're going to add to both sides. So we have plus b squared over 4a squared. And what we do to one side, we're going to do to the other. Okay. Now what we have here is we are going to write this left-hand side as x plus, and it's going to be that term before we squared it. So it's going to be this term in here, b over 2a squared. And now we're going to just leave this side as minus c over a plus b squared over 4a squared. Okay, hope you guys are following along with me. Now this is kind of harder when there's not numbers and we're using just variables. So I kind of want to write this this equation over here different, or this side, this expression. Okay, so I have minus c over a plus b squared over 4a squared. So let's try to get this over the same denominator. So we need to get a common denominator. So what I can do here is I can multiply this one, this negative c over a, by 4a over 4a. So notice that now I would have 4a squared in the denominator. So I have minus 4ac plus b squared over 4a squared. Okay, so see how I did that? And now I can replace this side with what I just got. So let's go back. I have x plus b over 2a squared equals, now we have that minus 4ac plus b squared over 4a squared. Keep hanging on, guys. Almost there. So now let's square root both sides. Since we have that square on the left side, and on the left we have x plus b over 2a equals, now remember, we can't take the square root of each individual term. Okay? What we can do is we can take the square root of the top divided by the square root of the bottom. So I'm going to leave the square root of the top as is. So minus 4ac plus b squared. And when I take the square root of the bottom, square root of 4a squared, well, the square root of 4 is 2, and the square root of a squared is just a. Okay. Next step, I'm going to subtract that b over 2a from both sides, and I'm left with x equals minus b over 2a. And remember, we took a square root, so I should have added in the plus or minus earlier. But plus or minus the square root of minus 4ac plus b squared over 2a. And notice here that we have a common denominator of 2a, so I'm going to finish this by combining these, putting it all over 2a. So I have minus b plus or minus the square root of, and I'm just going to rearrange the order here because it's commutative. We have addition, b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Does that seem familiar to anyone? Anybody? Okay, I sure hope it does. We just concocted the quadratic formula. I'm sure you guys have seen this before, maybe sang a song or two here or there. So the quadratic formula is x equals minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, so this is a very important formula that you will need to know, not just for AAA, but in your future math classes. So it's a great one to learn. So today we are going to solve quadratic equations using this quadratic formula that we just concocted. And we're also going to find approximate solutions to quadratic equations. So approximate versus exact. So an exact solution is the exact number to the point. Okay, it's not rounded, it's not truncated, but an approximate solution could be rounded or truncated. Okay, so let's work with some examples. In this first example problem, we are asked to solve using the quadratic formula. So we're solving for x. So let's begin. We're just going to follow these steps on the right-hand side, and step 1 says to put into standard form ax squared plus bx plus c. So standard form, we have decreasing powers of x. So notice here that we have 3x squared plus 2x equals 7. We want this to equal 0, so all we're going to do is subtract 7 from both sides. And we have 3x squared plus 2x minus 7 equals 0. So now we are in standard form. Step 2 asks us to identify our a, b, and c. So here our 3 is our a, our b is 2, and make sure we remember that our c is a negative 7. Okay, back to the green. Step 3, we're going to quote, plug and chug, unquote. So we're going to use our quadratic formula. So we have x equals minus b, so we have negative 2, plus or minus the square root of b squared, and I'm already just going to square that, so 2 squared is 4, minus 4ac. Don't forget that negative sign. It's a very common error. All over 2a, so 2 times 3. Okay, next we're going to get negative 2 plus or minus the square root of 4 minus negative 84 all over 6, which is equal to negative 2 plus or minus the square root of, so this minus a negative, so it turns this into positive. So we add square root of 88 all over 6. Now don't be afraid of that big 88. We could use our factor tree. 88 we know is 8 and 11. Then we have 2 times 2 times 2. So we could pull out a 2 there. So let's go equals negative 2 plus or minus. We're going to pull out the 2 that we found from our factor tree. And left inside is, what's left is 11 times 2, which is 22. all over 6. Okay, one more step. We can simplify this here. We can divide every term here by 2, each term. So this will turn into a 1, this will turn into a 1, and our 6 will turn into 3. So let's write this nicely. We have negative 1 plus or minus the square root of 22 over 3. And that would be our final answer to solve this problem. Okay. So here the question is, what are the approximate solutions? On the last page we got that x equals negative 1 plus or minus the square root of 22 over 3. So let's take these roots that we got, because we do have 2, we have that plus or minus. Let's take them individually. Negative 1 plus the square root of 22 over 3. And we also have x equals negative 1 minus the square root of 22 over 3. So now take some time and plug these into your calculator so you can get an approximate solution. So you can either round it, truncate it, we can compare. Okay, take some time. Okay, so just to show you what I got when I plugged it into my calculator. For the first one, when we added the square root of 22, I rounded mine to 1.23, and when I subtracted them, I got negative 1.90. So these here are my approximate solutions because I rounded them. Now if the question had asked for an exact solution, we would leave it here in this form because this is not rounded. Okay? Moving on. The question asked to solve. Find exact and approximate solutions. So I'm going to ask you to put me on hold, solve this one using the quadratic formula, and then you can unpause me and we can compare our answers. Okay, good luck. Okay, so welcome back. Here you can see the steps that I took to solve for the solutions here. Now, you might have come across the same issue that I did, and I ended up so we got these fractions here because I divided everything by 5. Okay. And inside my radical, I ended up getting a negative number, a negative 28 over 25. So, but we know how to work with negative radical, or a radical with a negative inside. We know that that just turns into I. Okay. So just make sure you carry all the steps out. And when you get to this step, remember you can reduce this. You can divide everything by 2. So I ended up getting negative 3 plus or minus I square root of 7 over 5. And this here is my exact solution. Okay? Even though the problem asks for an approximate solution, we aren't able to do that because we do have this I value here. So we would just leave our answer like this. Okay, no approximate solutions. Now, in case you got messed up at this step here, remember that 4 times 2/5 is 8/5. And I just made it have a common denominator of 25, so I squared both the top and the bottom. And got negative 64 25ths. Okay. So, great job today, everyone. That concludes our lesson on 8.3 on the quadratic formula. And tomorrow in class we'll work with some problems using this formula. Alright, good job. We'll see you tomorrow.